Thank you so much for this award. I just want to congratulate my other co-fathers of the year, Ben, Mario, Willie. Clearly, the only thing I could say is I am the senior member, and I've heard them talk about their young children, how rewarding, how exciting fatherhood is, but their children haven't been teenagers yet. And all I can say is just wait. When you become a father, people always say the same thing, and it was said here before, they don't give you a handbook and there's no manual. But I was lucky. I had a handbook and I had great models. It was my dad and my mom. My parents are here. I told you they're celebrating this year 64 years of marriage. And my parents, they didn't say a lot. They just lived every day for our family. They supported us, they loved us, and they made sure we knew that they loved us. My parents didn't write me long letters telling me about how I should live my life. They just lived their life in a way that was a model for my two brothers and myself. My parents were always there for us. They had high expectations for us. They set the bar high for us, and they expected us to work hard and succeed. And when we fell short or when we got knocked down, they were there to pick us up, brush us off, and make us move forward. I grew up knowing I had to do the right thing because I wanted to make my dad proud, and I never wanted to disappoint my mom. When my first son, Dominic, was born, my father and I were driving. It was shortly thereafter, and I think we were just going to the store. We were picking up Italian bread down Arthur Avenue, and we were coming up the Bronx River Parkway, and my father was talking to me, and he wasn't big on giving me specific advice or writing me letters, but I'll always remember he gave me some great advice about being a new father. And he said, if you want to be a good father, if you want to be a good father to your new son, the most important thing you need to do is love their mother. Loving my son's mother has been easy for me because I married an angel. I'm only getting this award today for being a good dad because my beautiful wife, Joanne, is a great mother. If you know Joanne, you know she always puts everyone else first. She is the best person I know, and I would not be half the person I am today without her. Honey, I love you very much. Thank you. So, for the younger guys in the audience, if you want some great advice about being a good father, make sure you marry a woman who's a great mother. I want to thank everyone for this award. For me, receiving this honor today is really not about me. This award is a family affair. So on behalf of my mother, my father, my children, and my grandchildren, and most importantly, my wife, Joanne, thank you for this award. It really means a lot to me. There's no more important job in my life than being a father to my sons. I thank you for this, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
So I was thinking about and reflecting on my thoughts for today. I thought about some of the things that where my daughters have helped me become a better CEO, and I try to think about, some of those impact moments. One of them was when I was the CEO of Neiman Marcus in Dallas, living in Dallas, and I had this great opportunity to come to New York and to become the CEO of Federated Merchandising, which is now Macy's Merchandising. I was very excited about that, and I was excited to tell my daughters, and Tracy looked at me and she said, "Will we be moving?" And I said, "Yeah, we're moving. We're going to move to like New York or Connecticut, and we're going to move." And she said, "Dad, what about my best friend, Sarah Spivey? She's been my best friend for more than half of my life. What about me?" And I thought, God, I hadn't really focused on that. Now, Tracy was 6.5 years old at the time. But it's true. She'd known Sarah since she was 3. So it was more than half of her life that they were involved together. And so it was a very emotional moment. And it made me realize that I need to consider the thoughts of others as I make big decisions for myself or for my company. And so I'm grateful for that input that you gave me at that moment, and I continue to carry that forward. And then her sister Jessica and Tracy called a family meeting when we were living in Connecticut, and it was all about me because they wanted to say to me, "Dad, listen, here's the deal. We have been going to an all-girls Catholic school all the way through, and we want to meet boys." So we have determined that when we become juniors in high school, we are going to Greenwich High School so we can meet boys. Do you understand? I said, "No, I don't understand." But this has allowed me to really consider the perspective of others. Again, that may not match and be consistent with my own. So I've carried that forward in my business life as well. I also spent some time with Mark Shriver, who really introduced me to the work that's been done by Save the Children, and you saw some of that in the video. There's so much more. And more recently, with the terrible storms we've had in the Midwest with these tornadoes. And Save the Children's on the spot. And they're getting these kids back focused on education once again, who've been displaced, where schools have been damaged, schools have been destroyed. And getting these kids back to normal life and just back to education again is so very important. And this organization does an amazing job at that, Mark. And I think we're going to end up raising a lot of money for you today. So we're going to help you continue your great work. And I want to acknowledge my father, who Tracy and her sister knew well. He was known as Poppy, and he is a man that came from very humble beginnings himself, and a man that worked 2 jobs, 7 days a week to support our 6 kids in my family. And he's the one who encouraged me to go to college and to be able to eventually have more than he, but there's no one who would be prouder today, both Jessica and Tracy, than my dad and my mom.
It's quite a tradition to be part of. The fact for 74 years, these awards have existed to enhance the meaning of Father's Day. And as we approach Father's Day this Sunday, I can't think of better charity to be on our minds and to benefit from today than Save the Children. When I was preparing for this moment, I did some research on the difference a dad can make. The U.S. Census Bureau points out that some 90% of the homeless and runaway children in this country come from homes without fathers, as do 71% of our high school dropouts, no dads. 85% of our young people in prison grew up in fatherless homes. Kids without fathers are among the hundreds of thousands being helped each year by Save the Children. This organization is so important that it is extra humbling to receive this award because today benefits them. And I have to admit, I don't think I actually deserve this award. 5 years ago, Stuart Goldblatt, a Father's Day Council board member, called me and asked me if I would be the honoree. I confess, deserving or not, I was excited by the thought of the title. Father of the Year? That's pretty cool. But when I asked my son Jeff, Jeff, what do you think? His reply was, "Why you, Dad? What did you do to deserve the title?" Talk about humbling. When I asked my daughter Laura that question, I got the same deflating answer. "I don't get it, Dad," she said. "I guess maybe you could be Granddad of the Year, but not Father." Well, surely I thought, if I ask Arlene, maybe I get a different answer. No, not a chance. A good father, fine, but why Father of the Year? Well, I was dejected and deflated, and I turned down the title. I had gotten the message. I needed to be a better father. I stepped up taking family trips to our home in St. Barth. I became even more ready and eager to babysit our grandkids. I further mended my ways by becoming the first one up in the morning to prepare breakfast for the grandkids on our vacations. I gave Arlene an obscene amount of money to spend and some more trust funds. Today, of course, as Father's Day approaches, my father, Aaron, is especially on my mind. Sadly, we lost him 3 years ago, but his influence on me and my life is ever present. Dad was a Holocaust survivor who immigrated to Israel. He received a tiny piece of land, a cow, and a chicken to start a new life as a farmer after the war. I have no real memory of Israel and the first 6 years of my life, except for the certainty that Dad worked very hard and ultimately managed to bring my mother and me to the United States to pursue the American dream. Surely enough, he began his own business, which ultimately became our family business, the G3 Apparel Group. As I know is the case with many children of hardworking dads, when I was a boy, I didn't know my father well. All I really knew was how determined he was to support my mother, my brother, and me. Many years later, after I was running the business and Dad shared an office with me, I finally got to know him as a man. We became very close, and what I came to understand was this: beneath his tough outer shell, which I assume he in part developed to protect himself in Poland during the Holocaust, was a tender-hearted soul who was totally soft at his core. And I understood even better that my dad was all about family, protecting us and supporting us.
It's an honor to be here, and I'm humble to be here. So look, of all the things I've accomplished thus far in my life, I'm probably most proud of the fact that my wife Sharon and I have committed ourselves to being the best parents that we can be. As mentioned, Sharon and I have been married for 25 years. She looks a lot younger than me. I think it's genetics, which is a good thing. And we've been soulmates for over 30 years. And I want to thank her for being here today and thank her for all the support. You know, family is important for me. I'm a middle child of 7 kids. Grew up in a 2-stoplight town in rural Tennessee. I got a lot of family at this table. If I start to name everybody, we'll have the clock running down on me. But I want to thank all of my family, my siblings, in-laws, my dad for being here, because family is something that's very important to my wife and I. I'm fully aware that I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress as chairman and CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I'm a work in progress as a dad, meaning that every day you learn something different. And every day is a learning experience to strive to take these 2 big assignments I have and try to be the best that I can be. I was invited to go to the White House with a group of retail CEOs to meet with the president and his economic team to discuss taxes and trade policy. This is an important meeting because there was some pretty aggressive policies being floating around in Congress, and I wanted to make sure my voice was heard. So anytime there's a change in schedule, sit down with Sharon, make sure that we look at the family calendar, and I'm not going to upset any priorities we have. But also, if I think I'm going to end up in the national media, I'll make sure the kids get a heads up so they can answer questions at school or address it with their friends. So when I mentioned to Gabrielle that I was going to be headed to Washington, D.C. on February 15th, she immediately reminded me that that was the day after Valentine's Day. And I told her I was aware of that. And she wanted to know, was I going to be, in fact, traveling on Valentine's Day? And I told her I was, and I was predicting where this was going. I said, however, I have a surprise lunch for Mom tomorrow before I depart out of town. At the moment I said that, I could sense the parent-child relationship starting to turn. And Gabrielle looked at me and said, Dad, that's simply not good enough. She went on to say, you may not know this, but Mom really enjoys the dinners that you all have to celebrate Valentine's Day. And although a lunch may be sufficient for you, it is insufficient to celebrate Valentine's Day with Mom, and you simply have to do better. It's a true story. And so my first thought was, who does this child think she is? She's 15 years old. I'm the parent here. You know what? I'm going to show her. And I showed her. I told Sharon, pack your bag. You're going to D.C. with me. True story. So what's the purpose of the story? Well, number one, it taught me that I had actually done a pretty good job of reinforcing to my daughter the importance of having high expectations for the men in her life, starting with her father. But it also taught me as a father, and many of you know this, parents, we never stop learning from our children. So Gabrielle, thank you for teaching your old man something that day.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dan. Thank you all for being here today, this afternoon. I want to congratulate Mario, Ben, Manny for being the runners-up to my Father of the Year. It was a hard-fought vote. That was my understanding. Is that not? That's correct. Okay. I did tell Mario I had to take exception with one part of his being here today, which is that we've all agreed now culturally that dad bod is a thing, so that we can sort of like get older and just let it happen. He's violating that. And he's making the rest of us look bad. Every time I turn on the TV, he's jogging down the beach. He's got the 12-pack and the guns. Let it go a little bit. Let it hang out, Mario, okay? You're killing us over here. You're killing us. It's so interesting to hear everybody talk about the moment they became a father. And I'll never forget, we had my daughter in 2007. Actually, June 14th, it was 3 days before Father's Day that year. And you're in the hospital for a couple of days. You're not quite sure what you're doing. You're learning on the job. And then all of a sudden, they kick you out of the hospital. And my wife and I always joke, we had our daughter in our car seat, carrying out of the hospital, and the nurse just looked at us and said, "Good luck." And she meant it nicely, but to us, it's good luck? That's all. Is there a manual you want to hand us on the way out the door? Good luck. And it's been the best challenge. And I think we all have to, I think every man on this panel and every man here would agree, we have to shout out the mothers. There's none of us without the mothers. So thank you. Good luck felt like not quite enough, but we've managed and we've found our way. And I always say there's something that happens in that moment. It happened for me in the delivery room when I first met my daughter in those first seconds. And a homing beacon is turned on in your heart. And you want to be where that person is. And it happened again with our son. I want to be where that person is. And it's almost a physiological thing. Maybe there's something to that. And I found it in my career too. I still work my butt off and I'm hard charging and all those things. But my default setting is to get back to my kids and to be around my wife. Where, you might take, if you're doing a shoot in Vegas, you might take that extra day, put it on the company, stay another round of blackjack. But now I want to get home. And I think that's what happens when you become a father. And so I think the work that's done here to salute fathers, to promote being a good father, to find new ways to be a good father is so important. And I'm just grateful for the work that you guys are doing here. Thank you. The other thing about being a dad, you all know, is that it's just fun, It's fun. And as these kids get older, mine are about to be 11 and 9, they're real people sitting across from me at the table with personalities and jokes and stories to tell. And my kids from the back seat, as they sat in their car seats, obviously they're out of them now, over the years, my wife and I would write down the things they would blurt out from the back seat. So I thought a couple of these are from a couple of years ago that I just share a couple of them. We have a list of like hundreds of them in our phones. My son asked recently, if I take a shower, get out, then get back in for 2 minutes, can it be a shower for today and tomorrow? That's a hard no on that. Another question. Dad, I'm not going to put this grape juice I didn't finish in the fridge because it will turn to wine overnight and kids can't have wine, right? And I said, no. And he said, no, it doesn't turn into wine, or no, kids can't drink wine. And I said, it's a double no on that one as well. He asked me the other day if Bigfoot has children. Think about that. Does Bigfoot have children? Can anyone answer that with any degree of confidence? Is Bigfoot even in a relationship? I don't know. You only see him alone walking through the woods. Maybe he's got a happy home life. I don't know. I didn't know how to answer that one. This was strange. Sometimes they'll pick things up off the news. My son asked me, Dad, how did El Chapo build that tunnel? The guards just gave him shovels? So he was on to the corruption at Mexican prisons pretty early on. And one more, he said, if Bruce Lee had children, again, totally out of the blue, I bet the mom would have to put the high chair and stuff together for the baby because Bruce Lee would just break it with his moves. These are the simple joys of being a father, the simple joys of being a parent. It's the best job, as everyone who's ever been a dad has said, that we will ever have. It's not even close. We love our children, and we're so grateful that you allow us to celebrate it here today. Thank you very much.